Coming up in this video, I play with some glue, I get excited, I almost lose my sense of taste, and I show you the proper way to fix rusty panels on a car, taking them from looking like this to looking like this. So I'm going to quickly illustrate the traditional way that many body shops might repair a rusty panel, and then the way we're going to do it without any welding. You can think, okay, here's my rusty spot, and this is a panel. So what you might do is you cut here, and then you're going to take this out, effectively leaving a hole here. This is the traditional style. And then you would replace a panel, same size, just like that. And then on the back side you might paint like a POR 15, a rust stopping paint. And then you would spot weld here. And you spot weld all around the edge of the panel to secure it to the panel. Now, this repair might look good for 6 months, and then it'll start to rust and it'll start to bubble up along the edge here. And what's happened is the heat from these spot welds has burned off the rust protectant paint on the back side of the panel, and when the heat has burned off all the paint, it's just bare metal, and bare metal on the inside of a fender quickly begins to rust. And then you'll see on repaired panels the rust start to seep forward along the edge that it's been replaced by with a new panel. The new way to do it, and the way that we're going to do it, is we are going to glue a panel on. Rusty panel, you can think of this as a rusty hole on a quarter panel or wherever. Alright, we're going to cut it out here. Same process to cut the rust out. And then this is going to be effectively a hole in the quarter panel. Now that we have this hole, what we're going to do is we're going to take a tool and we are going to press a lip into this hole. So the tool's going to overlap and it's going to create an indentation, probably I think it's about 3/4 of an inch, about this size. And there'll be effectively like a stepped down lip, and it will look like this. With this lip, now we're going to take our replacement quarter panel and cut it oversized so that it is bigger than the original hole, and it's going to rest on this overlapping lip here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use a special panel bonding adhesive, which is specifically designed for this repair job, and we're going to run a bead of glue in here. Just like this. Just around this edge, and then we're going to put the new panel on, and we're going to clamp it down and make sure it is 100% secure. Okay, step 1 here is to remove all the loose rust, because the POR 15 rust protectant coating we're going to use can seal rust and stop it, but only if there is no loose rust. So you want to knock off all the loose rust and then cut the old quarter panel as straight as you can. I've taken off all the loose rust, and I cut back the quarter panel probably about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches. I took all the rubberized coating off of the little bit of rail here. Okay, after knocking off all the loose rust and cutting back the old panel, I have covered this whole corner with POR 15 and ready for the next step, to emboss a lip in the old panel so the new panel will lie flush on the old panel. Okay, this is the tool we're going to use to emboss the lip on the old quarter panel. You can see it's pneumatic, and it will impress that lip just there. Got this from Harbor Freight. It was fairly inexpensive, I think $65, and it works really well. It's hard to get into tight spaces, but overall it is a super effective tool, and it will give you a very clean embossed lip. After successfully punching the lip into the old upper panel and fitting up the new panel, we are ready for the next step for paint. And a word of advice here is when you're cutting down your new panel to the size of the hole you're trying to fill, take your time and be careful because it's very easy to overcut. I overcut a little bit on this panel, but not bad. It's looking really good, as you can see. Alright, so here's the new panel. I painted it and then took the paint off where the bonding's going to happen. Here's the car, and did the same thing here. Took away the paint where we're going to bond. It's really important that you have a metal glue metal bond. So once the new panel and the car is prepped and ready, you can start to glue. It's really important that you get a really good bond between the new surface and the old surface. So that means plenty of glue on both sides. We're fully coated. Oh, let's see. Really start to see it. So now when you're gluing the new panel on, it's super important that you get a good force pushing it onto the car, good clamping force. If you have clamps, now would be a perfect time to use them. Once the panel is glued on and the glue is dry, now you can start to scrape away the excess glue that is pushed over into the seam and get ready for the next step. With the scraping all done, you can start to use a rotary sander, or you can hand sand if you want. I used 120 grit sandpaper for this step. After sanding and prepping the surface with acetone, you're ready to lay some Bondo on there and start to fair it up. Alright, so everybody has a different style of sanding Bondo and different grits of sandpaper, but I started at 120 and worked down to 220. And you just want to take your time and make sure that you're not getting any of the seam in the final product. Once the Bondo is fair and once it's prepped with acetone and cleaned, you're ready to spray some primer on there and spray it on thick because you'll be sanding it. So once you're happy with the primer, the next step is heavy texture chip guard. Not every car will need heavy texture chip guard over the primer, especially if you're painting a surface like a front panel or a hood. Once that's done, you can start to put some color on. I would suggest about 3 to 4 coats and waiting between coats to get a good base coat. Once you're done with that, you're ready to put some clear coat on it. Take your time and do lots of coats. Okay, so clear coat has been applied and it looks really great. There it is. Alright, so that's the end of the project. Altogether, I am super happy with the way they came out. I'm going to leave links in the description of all the tools I used and all the products I used, like glue and paint. So yeah, if you learned something, leave a like. And if you're interested in seeing cool, unique projects and things you've never seen before, restoration projects, got some cool stuff coming up. So subscribe and see you in the next video.